Haley, remind me about the email I was going to send to these lawyers.
Okay.
Okay. All right. All right. We'll look for Miss Lucero and then we'll be back.
Just hope I'm not on that list.
You can have mine.
You're not on the list. Nobody that's on the hearing right now is on the list, or I wouldn't have said there was a list.
There you go.
All right, we'll be back shortly. Child, we're here on a permanency hearing. Mr. Alley's with us for the department. Miss Talley is with us for CASA. Mr. Harris is with us representing the child. Miss Lucero represents the father, Mr. Stiegel. Neither Miss Lucero nor Mr. Stiegel are with us. Miss Lucero has not contacted the court to say that she couldn't be here. And I had a question mark as to, I think maybe Miss Klein, the mother, is still in jail. I don't know that for sure. At one point, it looked like maybe she was out, but from reading the last report, I think she's back in for a probation violation. There's Miss Lucero.
We'll talk about Miss Klein's status when I start testimony on.
Okay. All right, Miss Lucero's with us. She's connecting to the audio. All right. Miss Lucero, you're not expecting your client, I take it?
That's correct, Your Honor. I apologize that I'm late.
Okay. All right, then I don't have anybody in the waiting room that's not involved in the last case. So, Mr. Albee, you may proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would call Miss Yolanda Novak.
Okay. Miss Novak, if you'd raise your right hand, do you swear the testimony you give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
All right, thank you, Mr.
Hadley's
Albee.
9 years old. Where is he currently placed?
That's not correct. Hadley's 9 months.
9 months old. I apologize. Where is Hadley currently placed?
In a foster home in Amarillo.
And is that foster home meeting all of Hadley's needs at this time?
Yes, sir.
Any concerns that have arisen with that placement that we need to make the court aware of?
No, she's doing well.
And does she have any special needs or special issues that we need to address?
No, she's healthy, sir.
And how long has she been in that current placement?
Since the time of removal.
And that was her removal was at birth?
It was, I believe it was a couple days after birth.
But shortly after birth?
Yes, sir.
You would agree with me that that placement's been her home for 9 months?
Yes, sir.
Are there, have there been other homes that we have looked at for possible placement?
We did do a home study on the Elrod family, and it was denied because they did not meet the definition of fictive kin.
Have we had conversations with Mr. Stiegel and Ms. Klein about possible kinship placements?
Yes, Mr. Stiegel is the one that told me about the Elrods, and I reached out to them and we did the home study on them. But they had never met Hadley, and that was the reason that they were denied. I have tried to reach out to maternal grandmother, and she has not responded to me.
Hadley's mother is Krista Klein.
Yes.
And is Ms. Klein currently incarcerated in the Gray County Jail?
Yes, she is.
Do you know how long she's been incarcerated this time?
I talked to her probation officer in October, and she gave me an estimated of 90 days. She was arrested on October 5th, but she said that could change if she gets a hearing. But as far as I know, she has not had a hearing.
Do you know what she's currently incarcerated for?
Her probation officer says she violated her probation for the DUI and that she previously had.
In your review of the file, is it your understanding that Ms. Klein has had other children removed from her by the department?
Yes.
And Ms. Klein appeared at the adversary hearing in this case. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
And she was advised by the court that she has a right to have an attorney and that she needs to complete paperwork. Have you talked with her about court-appointed counsel?
I did early on in the case. When I saw her, I did go to the jail and seen her in October, and she refused to sign a release information for Senecor, and she was very argumentative with me. I can take one again and let her know, but she told me that day she wasn't signing anything else. But I can try, sir.
Ms. Novak, I appreciate you being willing to do that. You don't have to do it. I'm going to go ahead and appoint her lawyer today. We've got a final coming up, and since she's incarcerated again, it's presumed that she's indigent. So I appreciate that offer. I'll go ahead and get her lawyer today.
Okay, thank you.
Sorry, Mr. Alley, go ahead.
That's fine. Now, Ms. Klein was ordered to work services through a service plan. Has she been cooperative in working any services at this time?
No, she has not.
Has she, as far as you know, even attempted to work any services?
She did complete, we asked her to do a relational behavior class with Troy Timmons' office, and she did complete that in August. And she was attending visits until they were suspended.
And why were those visits suspended?
They refused to drug test for us back in April, sir.
And is it your understanding that one of the reasons for Hadley's removal was because Ms. Klein was using illegal substances?
Yes.
It's important then that we understand what her status is as far as any intake of any illegal substances.
Correct.
And so if you ask her to take a test, it's important for us to know to tell the court.
Correct.
The father to this child is Mr. Jerry Stegall. Have you been in communication with Mr. Stegall?
I saw him in June in person with my supervisor, and after that, he would text and call. In August, he would only text, and I have not heard. I've tried to call, text. I did in-person visits to his home. I've sent a letter to him trying to notify him to contact me, and I have not had any communication with him since August.
He was also ordered to work services. Do you know if he's attempted to work any of the services he was ordered?
He has attempted to start a couple things. He did do his OSAR screening back in August, and she referred him to the inpatient services either in Plainview and Amarillo, and he was scheduled to go, and he did not appear to go. If he did go, I'm unaware if he did, sir.
Based upon that information, would you agree with me that it would be contrary to Hadley's general welfare to return her to either parent today?
Yes.
Would you agree with me that it would be unsafe to return Hadley to either parent today?
Yes, sir.
Are you asking then that the court continue the department as temporary managing conservator of Hadley and that Hadley's placement in her current foster home be continued?
Yes, sir.
And you believe all that's in Hadley's best interest?
I do.
Pass Whitney.
All right, thank you, Ms. Lucero.
Your Honor, I don't have any questions for Ms. Novak.
Okay, and Mr. Harris.
Just one question, Ms. Novak, for the court. Hadley just had her 9-month checkup. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
And everything was perfect. She's a very happy, healthy 9-month-old little girl.
She is. She has cut 2 teeth. Okay. She is crawling and pulling up, and milestone markers are met. She is at her appointment. She was on vitamin D droplets just to help her be healthy, and the doctor discontinued those at her 9 month, stating that she was getting enough vitamin D from baby foods, and now she's even attempting table foods. So she's doing well.
All right, great, great. And that placement should be continued.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you, Judge. That's all I have.
All right. All right, then, Mr. Alley, did you have any other witnesses?
No, Your Honor, I would rest.
All right, thank you. Ms. Lucero, any witnesses?
No witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. Mr. Harris, any witnesses?
No, Judge, thank you.
Okay, Mr. Harris, recommendations?
Judge, Hadley's current placement is safe and very appropriate in her best interest. Let's leave her there.
Okay. All right, then. Ms. Talley, anything from CASA?
Nothing to add, Your Honor. We're in agreement with Mr. Harris.
Okay. All right, then I will continue the department's temporary managing conservator, continue the current placement. For the record, we will appoint Natalie Archer to represent Ms. Klein today. I had a trial date of December 6th, 2023. We don't have a dismissal date until January 15th. I'm going to move that to be sure everybody had 45 days notice of the final hearing, since we're appointing a new lawyer today. I don't want to have to try this twice based on that. So let's see, I've got something here from Haley. Does anybody have a conflict with January 12th?
Not right now, Judge.
Not right.
January, Judge?
I'm sorry?
January 12th?
Uh-huh.
Okay, is that,
That's
And
a
you-
Friday.
and what day did you say the dismissal date was?
15th of
January 15th.
Okay, so that sounds okay, Your Honor. I apologize.
Okay. All right. All right, then I will go ahead and set the final for January 12th. That will be by Zoom like today's hearing, so parties and attorneys can go on the court's online docket a day or two in advance of the 12th to see exactly what time. And retain the case on the court's docket, filed by Ms. Archer on behalf of the mother, Ms. Ramirez. Did I announce who's here yet, Amy?
No, sir.
All right. Mr. Albie's with us for the department. Ms. Nelson's with us for CASA. Mr. Barfield is with us representing the child. Mr. Michelson's with us representing the father, Mr. Herrera, who is with us. And Ms. Archer's with us representing the mother, Ms. Ramirez, who is with us. For those of you that have been involved this morning in our other cases, I guess we should pause and give thanks. We have a case where all of the lawyers showed up. That's 1 out of 3 today.
I'm here.
I know. I'm just saying, I had two cases earlier this morning. We had no shows. And before I forget, you'll be notified, Miss Archer, but we appointed you to represent the mother in one of our cases this morning. So
Thank you.
okay. All right, this is Miss Archer's motion. Let me just ask first. I've received, I'm sure every one of you has, I've received her advisement or setting out what Miss Ramirez is doing while incarcerated. Mr. Michelson, you had an objection to retaining the case on the court's docket. Is that still your position?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay, all right, then we'll go ahead. Miss Archer, did you have any witnesses to call on behalf of your motion?
I believe the mother is present.
Miss Archer?
Ms. Ramirez, were you in custody when this case began?
Yes.
And why were you in custody? Or why are you in custody?
For a I'm in TDC for a theft of property charge that I received in 2015.
Judge, before we continue, and it doesn't have anything to do with Miss Archer or her client, do you have anybody else in the waiting room?
Oh, I do. I'm sorry. I didn't ask. I have Brianna Watts and Summer Daniels.
Please, can you bring them in?
Okay, Miss Watts, Miss Daniels, sorry I left you in the waiting room. I overlooked you. We just now got started on the hearing for Salinas. And all we've heard so far is from Miss Ramirez about what she's currently incarcerated for. So that having been said, I apologize again. Miss Archer, you may go ahead and proceed.
So, Ms. Ramirez, you are currently incarcerated for a crime that happened in 2015.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And when was Carter born?
Carter was born in 2021.
Okay. And so how long were you with Carter before you were incarcerated for this recently?
I've always had her. I haven't had her the past, it'll be a year on November the 4th. But
So
I've always,
how old was she when you went into jail?
a little over a year and a half.
And would you say that you were very bonded with her?
Yes, that's my baby.
And whose care was she in when you became incarcerated?
Child Services set up a safety plan for Raven Cheney to keep her, and that's whose custody she was in.
Okay. And since you were incarcerated, you first went into Gray County Jail. Is that correct?
Well, I was actually arrested in Oklahoma County, but yes, it was for Gray County.
And did you try to do any services from Gray County Jail?
I've tried to do all of my services. Summer Daniels brought me, originally my caseworker's name was Phil, and he got me a service plan. I signed it. Well, then Summer Daniels became my caseworker because Phil left the department, and Summer was supposed to get me a new service plan, but I still haven't got that. But she brought me a packet of classes to do to the jail, and I completed all of them, and that was in May, but they were never picked up from the jail, and now the jail no longer has them, which is fine. Like, I'm okay with having to redo the classes, and I'm doing classes where I'm at.
Okay, let's get to that. What classes are you doing where you're at?
There's a list. I think y'all have it, but it's there's anger management. I do individual counseling. There's healthy relationships or something like that.
Okay.
I don't have.
And we do have all the parties do have that list.
Y'all are talking over each other, so let's slow down.
Judge. Okay, we do have that list. But I think there's one or two things you started recently that are not on the list. Have you started a parenting class?
I just got into parenting. Well, I say just. I've been in it for 3 weeks, and it is an 8-week-long class.
Okay. So you've done quite a bit of classes since you've been incarcerated, correct?
I have signed up for everything possible that I'm allowed to sign up for.
And is that because your goal is to try to get your daughter back?
Yes.
Okay, I'll pass the witness, Judge.
All right, thank you, Mr. Albee.
Judge, I don't have any questions of the witness.
All right, Mr. Michelson.
Thank you, Your Honor. Can you tell me how many hearings you have been present for during the process of this case?
I don't know. I couldn't tell you.
Is this your first hearing that you've appeared before the court?
No.
Okay. What previous hearing did you attend?
I've been to all of them except for maybe the last one or two when I first got to TDC. So between May and now are the only hearings that I've missed.
Okay. So at the onset of the case, you were present for the hearings?
Yes.
Okay. And when you were arrested in Oklahoma, was Emmeline present with you?
No, I knew I was being arrested, and a safety plan was set up for her to go stay with Raven Cheney by Child Services.
Okay. Pass the witness, Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Barfield.
Ma'am, when is your release date?
I am approved for parole, and upon completion of the program that I'm in, and I complete my program February the 10th. I should be released within 30 days of that.
Okay.
I won't set the date until February the 10th when I complete the program.
Once you got out of jail, would there be anything prohibiting you from, if this case went forward and it was I think we have a final hearing date of December 6th, if I'm not mistaken. If your rights were not terminated, and you were given some sort of possessory conservatorship, could would that be satisfactory to you?
I would like the case to remain open so that I can do what Child Services wants.
Well, how
And
long do
get
you want this?
her back.
How long do you want this case to remain open?
Well, our final hearing is December the 28th, and honestly, even 3 or 4 months after that would be fine. I would be able to get everything done that I need done on my service plan.
Now, let me ask you this: how many times have you been able to visit your Emma Lynn since this case has been going on?
Since I've been incarcerated, none. They won't let her visit me.
Right. Okay. And up to this point, when is the last time you saw Emma Lynn?
November the 1st
Of
of
what
last
year?
year. Exactly a year ago.
Right. All right. All right. And okay. I'll pass the witness.
All right. Anyone have further questions for Ms. Ramirez?
I have a follow-up.
Okay.
Ms. Ramirez, how many times did Nathan Herrera visit Emmeline before this
Objection.
case started?
Nathan has never been a
Excuse
part
me.
of her
Excuse
life.
me, ma'am. Mr. Michelson?
I was just raising an objection. I'm not sure that's relevant.
Okay, overruled. You can answer the question if you remember it, Ms. Ramirez. If not, she can re-ask.
Nathan has never been a part of my daughter's life. I've sent him a bunch of pictures of her as a baby, but he's never been a part of her life until, I would say, the last 6 months.
And what are your concerns in him being a part of her life?
If he's going to be a part of her life, that's okay with me. I want him to be, but I want him to be a part of her life for the right reasons. I know that he has 2 other kids that he has nothing to do with, and I know that their moms are upset about the situation with Carter. I know that when I was with him, he was very abusive and controlling, and I want him to have a relationship with my daughter because he wants a relationship with my daughter. And I do worry that this is just temporary and a manipulation to get what he wants. And
In
that
what way?
he's stay a part of her life.
In what way would it be a manipulation?
He's made it very clear to me that if I want a relationship with my daughter, I'm going to have a relationship with him, which I get along with my other kids' dads. We get along great. Obviously, my kids are with their dads while I'm here. When I get home, my kids are moving in with me. They've always been with me, and I have no problem with my kids' dads being a part of their life. But I don't want him using my daughter to try to control me. I want him to be a part of her life because he's her dad and because he wants to be a part of her life. And as her dad, he should want what's best for her, and that's to have both of us.
So are you asking?
For him to try to take her from me or
Okay, ma'am, excuse me. You've answered the question. If you would please just answer what you're asked and not ramble.
So are you asking the court today to extend the case to give you time to finish working services so you can be the primary caregiver?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. I have no more questions.
All right. Anyone else have questions for Ms. Ramirez?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Ms. Ramirez, I've been given there was an exhibit. I don't guess it's been admitted, but Ms. Ramirez, are you doing group and individual counseling while you're incarcerated?
Yes, sir.
Are you doing a substance abuse counseling / didactic group?
Yes.
And then another one called Living in Balance, which it says is a substance abuse education program.
Yes, sir.
And a program called Getting It Right Cognitive Intervention.
Yes, sir.
And the next one's great. This is a great name for Cage Your Rage, which is an anger management class.
Yes, sir.
That's a great name. I'm sorry, I just had to say that. And then a grief education course called Picking Up the Pieces.
Yes, sir.
And then I've read where you have to complete, I guess it says, approved with, this is about your parole eligibility, approved with completion of a program prior to release. Is that when it says program, it means, I guess, any one of these programs or all of them or what?
It's the program that I have to complete is called Female Cognitive Pre-Release, and it's groups.
Okay. But you're doing all these individual programs I just covered?
Yes.
Will you have those completed before you're eligible for parole?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. Anybody else have questions for Mr. Ramirez? All right, then. Miss Archer, did you have any other witnesses?
No, I just have an argument to distinguish the case that Mr. Michelson.
Okay, let's get all the witnesses out of the way first. All right, then, Mr. Michelson, do you have any witnesses?
No witnesses, just argument.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Barfield, witnesses?
I have no witnesses, Your Honor.
Okay. All right, then. Miss Archer, your argument?
According to the code, the trial court can consider any good faith effort on the parent when considering whether to extend a case. I believe that Ms. Ramirez has shown considerable effort the entire time she's been incarcerated. Also, the case that Mr. Michelson submitted, in that case, the child was removed from a father's home who had done drugs. The home was unclean. It didn't have any water. We have a different scenario here. Ms. Ramirez was incarcerated the entire duration of this case. The child wasn't taken from her. And so I would like to argue that she deserves a chance to get out and make the situation right and be reunited with the child that she spent almost 2 years with before being locked up.
Okay. Mr. Michelson, your argument.
Thank you, Your Honor. There's a legal maxim that says that a child should not be made to linger in the system awaiting uncertain maturity of the parent. There's really no benefit to Emma Lynn by continuing this case 6 months when she's residing in a stable home at the present time.
Okay, well, that's stable homes with your client, correct?
Yes, Your Honor.
So, I mean, technically, I guess she's in the system, but she's with a parent. That's the goal in any CPS case, is to reunify with a parent, and that's in the process. Well, it's been done basically.
Yes, Your Honor. I would agree with that, but our position is there's no benefit to Emma Lynn by continuing the case.
Is there any harm to her by continuing the case?
Other than we don't believe it's in her best interest to be continued.
Okay. All right. Mr. Barfield, your recommendation?
Your Honor, my recommendation is I don't think that any harm would come by continuing the case. At this particular time, she is in a parent's home. She is. I certainly think if the mother is trying to work services, I think the policy is shifting towards if a parent is really trying and actually working services to try to see if we can get those workers up. So I do not necessarily oppose retaining the case on the docket, or quite frankly, Judge, I'm not being wishy-washy here. Obviously they could litigate this as private, but if mom's trying like she's doing, I don't oppose a continuance of the case.
Okay. All right. Casa.
Your Honor, we agree with both Mr. Barfield and Mr. Michelson. Emmeline's been reunified with her father for nearly 6 months, and she's doing very well in that home. And if the case were to be continued and Ms. Ramirez were to successfully complete her services, I'm not sure that we would think that it's in her best interest to remove her from her father and place her with Ms. Ramirez. So I don't know that the outcome would be any different even if the case were extended.
Okay. All right. Fair enough. Okay. Well, basically,
just if I may, you've not asked me, and we have a position also, and
okay. Go ahead.
the St. Francis Ministries and the department would ask that you not grant the extension. Ms. Ramirez has quite a history with the department and with other children, and I think that needs to go into account. Mr. Herrera has done what we've asked him to, and we would ask that this case be allowed to be finalized in December.
Okay. Well, it's the court's position. I don't have a choice in this matter. 6 of these classes that Ms. Ramirez is doing obviously count towards the requirements of her plan. And it's with the change in the family code in section 263, I have to find extraordinary circumstances and extend the case if a parent's making a good faith effort to complete the service plan, but needs more time. I think that's exactly the case here. She's done more than I usually hear from people that are incarcerated. Maybe that's because she's placed at a unit that offers the things, but the court's going to find that extraordinary circumstances exist because Ms. Ramirez is making a good faith effort to complete her service plan. Again, Mr. Harris done a great job. Carter's doing very well with him, so I don't see any harm in extending this case to allow Ms. Ramirez to prove what rights she should have at a final hearing. So I will grant that motion. I'll extend the case and retain the case on the court's docket. I'll continue the department's temporary managing conservator, and I'll continue Carter's current placement with Mr. Herrera. Let's see about we basically can treat today's hearing also as a permanency hearing because I've heard that Carter's doing great, no problems with placement. So let's look for another date.
Your Honor, the only additional issue we would have is that Mr. Herrera filed a motion for name change a while back, and I guess we haven't addressed that.
Okay. Well, I don't think anybody. Let me just ask Ms. Archer, is your client opposed to that or in agreement with that?
We would be opposed to that at this time. I'd rather take it up at the end of the case to see where the child's placed and so forth.
Okay, well, technically that wasn't set for today, Mr. Michelson, so you can get a hearing on it or we can take it up at the next hearing. So,
yes, Your Honor.
All right, let's see. So I'll just set the next permanency hearing for January 17th. Okay. This was our last case for the morning, so we will stand in recess. Everyone have a good rest of your week and a good weekend.